being incorporated into daily life as we speak. Due to the growing use of nanotechnology, new problems have arisen. Due to this, researchers and scientists have come up with plausible solutions to quell these concerns. Without further ado, welcome to the world of nanotechnology.
Nanotechnology is the production of nanoparticles on a nanoscale. The prefix nano delineates 1 billionth, or 10 to the negative 9th. 1 nanometer is a billionth of a meter. For visualization, a nanometer is to a meter as a marble is to the entire Earth. This microscopic size yields increased practicality and effectiveness within science. Nanoparticles can be broken down into nanozymes, which are then applied in physics, chemistry, and engineering. Nanotechnology is increasing as a prominent tool in the medical field.
This idea begs the question, is nanotechnology sustainable and beneficial in the medical field? As it applies to dentistry, cancer, diabetes, and anesthesiology, there are certain limitations to these aspects when applied to nanotechnology.
There are limitations to this, one being toxicity. The nanoparticles can enter your lungs when you breathe. From your lungs, they can go out to all of your internal organs, just wreaking havoc on the inside of your body. A second limitation is it's a new technology. As with all new technology, it has to gain the trust and the respect of the people who will buy the product. If it doesn't do that, they're just going to stick with the old technology and not buy the product. The third limitation is the cost. This is an extremely expensive product, so the nanotechnology has to prove, again, that it is more effective than the technologies already being used, or nobody is going to pay that extra cost for the nanotechnology itself.
The toxicity of chemically synthesized particles is a primary concern opposing nanotechnology. A study by Malaya observing the implementation within dentistry and orthodontics shows an increase in cardiovascular mortality and tissue damage when absorption of chemically synthesized particles occurs. To combat this, one must consider the alternative methods of synthesis. Physical, chemical, enzymatic, and biological are green. Now, all four methods have pros and cons, but within a physiological science like dentistry or orthodontics, green synthesis is ideal. It is a natural alternative to the toxic effects that the others bring about, and it overwhelms the other methods in environmental friendliness, in low cost, while appeasing the concerns with its non-toxic and antimicrobial properties.
New groundbreaking technology in regard to the development of customizable nanoparticles have been discovered and applied to medicine. Although nanotechnology is relatively new to the medical field, it has been proven to be an effective and an efficient tool in treating and diagnosing specifically cancer and diabetes. According to Trufi Marta, a clinical researcher in Pavia, Italy, she claims that nanoformulated drugs have been developed and tested in preclinical trials, and many of them have been successfully translated into clinical practice. As nanotechnology is being used more in medicine, people are becoming more aware and cognizant of its benefits and the precautions taken in preclinical trials to ensure safety. According to Gaizi Zhu, a researcher affiliated with the Bay University of Technology, alludes to the usefulness of magnetic nanoparticles to detect cancer cells. By coating nanoparticles with a specially made film of protein that binds to cancer cells, these particles become magnetic signal sources to detect sensitive diagnoses. This customizable approach is paving the way to improved early detection methods, more efficient therapy, and better survivorship for cancer patients. Also, according to Qinyang Zhao, a doctor of philosophy, using nanotechnology has proven to reduce side effects to normal tissue.
With nanotechnology being implemented into the diabetic field, treatments are becoming more and more complex. This leads us to focus on the impact it has and the new treatments being created. The impacts that it has is that it creates a better control over complications seen in the diabetic field. These treatments are Two of these treatments are BioKill spray and nanoparticle infused nanosensors. This BioKill spray had never been used before, and it targets E. coli and gram-positive strains found on the feet of diabetic patients. This BioKill spray was found to be highly successful and can be used and purchased by the common person. These new nanosensors are infused with nanoparticles such as copper oxide and gold nanoparticles that can focus and find a decrease in levels of glucose. These nanosensors are much more reliable and efficient than current sensors. With the nanosensors becoming more reliable and showing glucose level changes much faster, individuals can have a better chance of taking care of these glucose levels.
As with any new and expensive product, the research and development cost is going to be pretty high. The United States spends $500 million on this per year, while the world spends $16 billion on this per year. Now, while this does show how expensive nanotechnology is, it also shows that countries are willing to pay that cost, showing that in the future, showing that they are willing to put forward the money for the future of nanotechnology. I get the next one. Now, for a more medical standpoint, in anesthesiology, if you add nanoparticles to the anesthetics already being used, it benefits greatly the product already out there. So the benefits include, but aren't limited to, lasting longer, lowering toxicity, and they're easily sterilized. Now, this does give an explanation towards why the product costs so much more than just buying regular anesthetics. But obviously, the best choice for anesthetics is to put the nanoparticles in the more traditional medicine than just using the traditional medicine by itself.
Nanotechnology, when synthesized biologically, can be implemented non-toxically within dentistry and orthodontics for effective and accurate results.
This new technology of implementing magnetic nanoparticles in cancer treatment has proven to effectively diagnose and treat cancer patients.
While nanotechnology is more expensive, the benefits of it make it a viable option for doctors in any medical field.
With the spreading use of nanotechnology, countries are finding new ways to apply this new technology into the medical fields. The future of treatments for diabetes and other diseases rely on new developments and to innovate and upgrade these treatments. Nanotechnology should be implemented within the physiological science, specifically the medical field. As progress and improvements continue, the technology will revolutionize safety, efficiency, and accuracy.
All right, Caleb, reflecting on your colleagues' work, which one had the greatest impact on your overall understanding of the problem your group identified?
I would say that Leah's overall research helped that because she really focused on how it can be implemented into the new medical fields, and this helped with focusing on how our understanding
Okay.
adapted to the presentation.
Jelaine, having finished your project, what, if anything, do you consider to be a gap in your team's research? If addressed, would make you feel more comfortable or confident about your conclusion?
I think a gap in our research would be fully exploring the harmfulness of nanotechnology that it can do on the body, or the limitations if we had explored that more.
Leah, what is an example of a compelling argument from one of your peers' individual reports that you decided to exclude from your team presentation, and why?
So Spencer's research was over anesthetics, but his focus within the presentation was about cost and the limitations that raises. So he had to cancel out some of his other results and methods and side effects and all of that, since cost was the factor, cost not being really a medical thing, but it was still needed for this presentation.
Okay, good. Okay, Spencer, give one specific way that your thinking changed as a result of learning about Caleb's findings.
For Caleb's findings specifically, he researched more in depth the toxicity of what nanoparticles do to the body, which I kind of touched on, but not really. He really researched it in depth, which helped me understand that that is really one of the 3 big limitations in nanotechnology versus it only being cost.